Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Quest for Knowledge. Today we are going to learn 2nd PUC English Poem 8 to the Foot from its Child written by Pablo Neruda. First let's learn about the poet. Pablo Neruda was born on July 12, 1904 in Parral, Chile, and he died on September 23rd, 1973 in Santiago, Chile. He was a Chilean poet, diplomat, as well as politician, and he earned the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1971 Britannica. He is widely recognized as one of the most important and influential Latin American poets of the 20th century. Let's learn the poem and understand it stanza wise. Stanza 1. The child's foot is not yet aware it's a foot and would like to be a butterfly or an apple. The explanation is that this stanza expresses the innocence and imagination of childhood, where it has no limitations. Here, the child's foot is a metaphor for the child themselves, and the child is unaware of the real purpose of his life, or neither does he know any limitations. Instead of understanding its role in walking or standing, the foot dreams freely of being something fancy or beautiful, just like a butterfly or an apple. This represents that the early stage of the life is filled with fantasy, playfulness, and unlimited possibilities. Stanza 2. But in time, stones and bits of glasses, streets, ladders, and the paths in the rough earth go on teaching the foot that it cannot fly, and it cannot be a fruit bulging on the branch. Then the child's foot is defeated, falls in the battle, is a prisoner condemned to live in a shoe. Explanation. Here, the reality begins to enter to the child's life as the child grows and starts walking on hard, painful surfaces like stones, glass, rough earth, and here the fantasy comes to an end. The foot, and by extension, the child learns that it has limitations. It cannot fly, or neither it can become a fruit. It must face the harshness of the real world. This leads to a kind of defeat. The child's imaginative freedom is restricted. It has some limitations. The foot is condemned, forced to live in a shoe. A metaphor of shoe is for social norms, structure, and the beginning of confined and regulated life. Stanza 3. Bit by bit, in that dark, it grows to know the world in its own way, out of touch with its fellow enclosed, feeling out like a blind man. Explanation. Here, this stanza describes that the early stages of the growth, possibly it's like in the womb. In that dark refers to the darkness inside the womb, where the child grows. It learns and understands the world in isolation, not through sight or social contact, but through feeling, like a blind person trying to understand what's around them. Stanza 4. These soft nails of quartz bunched together grow hard and change themselves into opaque substance, hard as horn, and the tiny petaled toes of the child grow bunched and out of trim, take on the form of eyeless reptiles with triangular heads like worms. Explanation. Here in this stanza, the poet zooms in on the physical transformation of the child, growing into a big man. The soft nails and toes of the unborn child grow and become hardened and becoming tough and less delicate. The comparison to eyeless reptiles and worms emphasizes how strange, primitive, and unrefined these early forms look, reflecting the raw biological nature of development. Stanza 5 Stanza 5 Later they grow collused and are covered with the faint volcanoes of death, a coarsening hard to accept. Explanation of the stanza: as the child grows older, those once soft parts, likely feet, become collused due to wear and use. Faint volcanoes of death could be poetic imagery of blisters or signs of aging and fatigue. The coarsening here represents the loss of innocence or softness, a transformation that's emotionally hard to accept. Stanza 6 But this blind thing walks without respite, never stopping for hour after hour. The one foot, the other, now the man's, now the woman's, up above, down below, through fields, mines, markets, and ministries, backwards, far afield, inward, forward. This foot toils, works hard in its shoe, scarcely taking time to bear itself in love or sleep. It walks, they walk, until the whole man chooses to stop. And then it descended underground unaware, for there everything was dark. Explanation: this stanza uses the image of a blind foot to symbolize the restless, relentless, unstoppable, unconscious routine of human life. People keep moving, working, walking, striving without rest or awareness, whether man or woman, across all spaces of labor and life. Even moments of love or sleep are rare. This constant motion continues until a person finally chooses to stop, symbolizing death. In the end, the food descends underground, unaware, into darkness, representing the final stillness and the silence of death. Stanza 7 It never knew it had ceased to be a foot, or if they were burying it so that it could fly, or so that it could become an apple. Explanation: this stanza explores unconsciousness and the transformation. It suggests that something, symbolized as a foot, has changed or ended without realizing it. Something like burying, or not to be forgotten, but to be transformed into something like new, like a creature that flies or an apple that grows. The lines reflect themes of loss, change, and the mystery of purpose, showing how endings can lead to unexpected new beginnings even if the reason remains unknown. Conclusion of this poem: to the foot from its child concludes with the foot, now aged and hardened by life's experiences, being buried. Despite its journey through hardship and the loss of childhood dreams, the foot, even in death, revisits the possibilities of its youth, dreaming of being like a butterfly or an apple. This suggests that while life realities may limit our ability to fulfill childhood aspirations, and the spirit of those dreams still persists. It exists even beyond the death. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.